Hello students, welcome to Learner's Planet. Now let us again start our biology class, and the topic that we were discussing was fundamental unit of life. Now this is the third session of this chapter. What this fundamental unit means? It is a cell. In the previous sessions we have studied about the basic history of the cell, and we said that all the living organisms are made up of cells. But still, all these organisms, they differ from each other in terms of these cells. That means there are different type of organisms and each is made up of different type of cells. Even within the same body, there exist different types of cells. So, in the previous session, we have studied these variations on the basis of number of cells. We came to know that on this basis, there are two types of organisms, unicellular and multicellular. We also suggested that the variation may occur on the basis of shape of the cells or the size of the cells. In this session, we are going to clear these 2 points, the different shape which exists in the cells and the variation on the basis of its size. So what the different shape exists in the cells, let us have a look over this. So the shape, it could be spherical. You know what we mean by spherical? Definitely you must be knowing. So spherical is basically a round shape. We can say like a simple spherical type. Now this is your round shape which is found in different kind of cells in the living organisms. The example could be like bacteria. In bacteria, the coccus or the cocci, that type of organism shows a spherical shape. If you compare multicellular organism, then the RBCs could be the best example to understand this shape. Next we are saying is cylindrical. Now what we mean by cylindrical? It could be like something like this, or the walls could be ended, they could be closed. So this type of shape is generally found in the muscle cells. Even in the plant cells, it is found over there, like in the vessels, vascular tissue. Over there, such type of shapes are found among different type of cells. Then cuboidal, it could be something like this, the base here and something like this. So example could be epithelial cells. Epithelial cell, we can say as it is found over the skin. Further, another type is branched. Branched could be, it is like something like this. The wall is not smooth here. It is something like this. So can you think where it is found? The example given here is osteocyte. Where this osteocyte is found? Do you know this thing? It is present in the bone cell, or bone cell is known as the osteocyte. So these cells which are forming the bones, they are showing the branch type of structure. Not only this, you can think another example like we can say it is nerve cell. Even that is an example here, which is showing so many branches. Further, spindle shape. What we mean by spindle shape? It is like the points, the ends are actually pointed and it is broad in the center. So it is commonly found in the smooth muscles or unstriated type of muscles. Further, some cells are there which are having irregular shape. The shape is not fixed in that case. Example, amoeba. They can change its own shape. Now don't get confused with this amoeba and the osteocyte. The shape seems to be similar, but the difference is that in the case of osteocyte, it is fixed. In the case of irregular shape, what we mean is they can change their shape with respect to time and their own requirement. So these shapes are found in different type of cells. Now you can think one more thing here. As these cells are showing the differences in the shape, even they are showing the differences in their functions too. They are having different locations, and according to that location, they are having different type of function. Now in the here we can show you some of the pictures of various type of these cells. You can see the round shape or the spherical shape. Example given here is red blood cells. Now these are different type of cells. You can think of these things. They are showing WBCs as well as the RBCs. So in this diagram, you can see the different blood cells. It is not only the RBC or the red blood cells. There are different kind of blood cells which are found in the blood. You can see this first diagram shown here. This is actually the RBC or the red blood cell. It is showing a smooth membrane, it is round in shape and it is having a nucleus. But the other organelles are absent. They are the carrier of hemoglobin and hence the function is actually transport of oxygen. Besides, you can see the another diagram, that is these three are different type of white blood cells. Now in this picture, although you can see the red color here, but don't get confused. These are transparent. They are WBCs. So these are forming the different type of function. Further, these are lymphocytes and this picture is of monocyte, which later on becomes a macrophage. Now this particular category is there, which you can see is not having a spherical shape. So basically they are having irregular, they're the fragments of the cells. Now it is the only kind of blood cell which is not round. Also among these cells there are some which can change their shape also, so as to perform the function like phagocytosis or endocytosis. So in short, there exist different kinds of blood cells with a definite shape. If we say round, RBC is the best example. Even WBCs are also round in shape. Further, you can see these monocytes, lymphocytes, they are having round shape too. But there exist certain differences with respect to its own function. Chemically and functionally, there are the differences. Next is spindle shape. We said the cells are pointed at the end side and they are broader in the center region. The example could be muscle cell. Which muscle cell? Unstriated muscle cells. So they are actually functioning in the contraction and relaxation. And when this contraction and relaxation occurs, they causes the movement. So if the movement is taking place, the living body is going to survive. Because inside your body, in the living system, movement is one of the important characteristics for the living system. Now the another shape, we said it was branched. Example given here is nerve cell. You can see this diagram. It is a single cell and in the living system, in the human beings, this nerve cell is the largest cell. Now this nerve cell is also known as a neuron. What is the function of these nerve cells? It is to transmit the information from one part of the body to the another part. Now you can see the size of the body. Accordingly, it has to communicate in the long region. Hence, size or the shape is given in such a way. It is designed in such a way that it can receive the signal or the message with the help of these small branches shown here. Now further, they can transmit it to the another cell, and that is possible with the help of this blue structure shown here, which is known as axon. At the end, it is again having the branches and they are able to transmit the message to the other part of the body, to the another nerve cell or to the target body, target site in your body. Further, there are the cells which do not have a definite shape. Example best you can understand is amoeba. So you have studied about amoeba so much till now. These amoeba, they are having flexible type of membrane, and this actually helps it to change its own shape. Now why there is a need to change its shape, or what advantage is provided to this organism because of this type of shape? As they can change the shape, they can actually capture the food. They can do the locomotion, that means they can move around in its surrounding. So all these are the benefits which are provided due to this irregular nature of its shape. So from this table, you can understand this thing clearly, that why this change in the shape is basically needed. Shape is actually providing the advantage according to its function. Or we can say within the same body, the structure or the cells are not same. They are not identical in the entire body. There are different types of cells existing within the same living system. Now further, if we compare these cells of an organism with a similar cell of some another organism, then again you can find the differences. How so? Let us say red blood cells. It is round in shape. So in all organisms, usually it is round only. But there is variation in terms of its functional property or its structural property at chemical level, molecular level we can say. I will just give an example here. Let us say this RBC, it is having hemoglobin over its own membrane, and this provides what? Transportation of oxygen, right? Now if we say what this hemoglobin is, so hemoglobin is iron containing protein. This iron containing protein, it is actually made up of amino acids. Amino acids is a basic structural unit of protein. So when we compare this hemoglobin of some another organism, species, I'm saying about the species, for example, chimpanzee or gorilla. So even they are having RBCs which are round in shape. They are also having hemoglobin, but structurally there is some variation with respect to amino acid present in the hemoglobin. So this can help us in understanding that although all organisms are made up of cells, but these cells are of different types within the organism and among different organisms. Similarly, we can say although these cells are present in different organisms of same species, even then the functional intensity is going to vary. So no two organisms or these cells are similar to each other. A group of cell is there that is definitely going to be similar, and that group of cells with similar structural and functional property is known as a tissue. So this can give us a hint that how they vary from each other. Let the size of the cells. Variation further occurs on the basis of its size also. We said in the previous session also we have suggested this thing that these organisms, they could be as small as millionth of a meter. And what you mean by this millionth of meter? It is micrometer. So the size could be few microns or micrometer. Or otherwise it can be as large as few centimeters. So now you can think of the range of the size of the cell. It ranges from 0.1 micrometer to few centimeter. Usually in centimeters only few cells are observed. The largest cell is actually an ostrich egg, which we can see even with the naked eyes. Else we need a microscope to observe these cells. They are having such a small size. Can you think of the smallest organism, smallest cell? That is, it is 0.1 micron, and the organism or the cell is that of mycoplasma. So this size is, can you think how it is related to the living world or the living functions? Basically, if we say elephant, it is so large. Plant, it is so tall. We can say like ant, it is so small. Do you think that a size of a cell would be so large if it is present in the elephant or in the plant? Or otherwise, it is going to be so small in the case of ant. So, in short, we would like to conclude that the size of the cell has no relation with the size of the body of the animal or of the plant. The size of the cell is actually related to its function. It has no relation with the size of the living body. It is never so that the fat organism, a fat human being will be having a so large type of cells. or a very thin or a slim person is going to have a very small size of the cell. It is never so. The size of the cell is always standard. It varies with different type of cells. For example, if we compare the size of the nerve cell with that of the size of the, let us say, sperm, then you can imagine that these two are going to show the difference. But it is never so that a sperm of elephant would be so large and sperm of human being would be comparatively smaller. This is totally wrong. Truth is that the size is going to be similar. There may be some differences with respect to its function, structure also, but it is never so that it exceeds the limit. It is always related to the function. Can you imagine which is the largest cell in our body, in the human being? It is nerve cell. The nerve cell is the longest or the largest cell in the human body. Now, if we compare the nerve cell of a human being with the nerve cell of, let us say, horse, then we can say the horse is having the longest nerve cell. If you compare different these organisms, then that nerve cell would be the largest one. Which nerve cell? It is of horse. When we compare different nerve cells of different organisms. But if you compare a single individual like that of human body, then of course in that body, nerve cell is the largest one. Similarly, which is the smallest cell? It is sperm. Now further, this we have said that this size is basically related to function. So can you think why these nerve cells are so long? We have already studied, we have already explained this point. The reason is basically it has to communicate, it has to coordinate the different functions of the body. So it has to cover the entire length of body, and this is the reason why it is the largest cell. Alternatively, if we compare the size of the sperm, then it is too small. The reason is because it is a cell which is basically just imparting its genes to transmit it to the next generation. This is the role of a sperm. So there is no need for the large body, large cell size for it. So this is how the size is basically related to the function. Now the next point is, which is the smallest cell? So this smallest cell or the smallest size is observed in the bacteria. Range is from 0.1 to 0.5 micrometer. The smallest bacteria is mycoplasma. The size is basically 0.1 micrometer. Mycoplasma you must have heard about. Another name for this is PPLO, that is pleuropneumonia-like organisms. Now this mycoplasma, basically it is causing the respiratory infection. It causes infection in the upper part of your respiratory system, which is similar to that of pneumonia. So it is called as PPLO, that is pleuropneumonia-like organisms. Further, we can say another point here. The size of virus is even smaller than that of the mycoplasma. But why we have not quoted that example as the smallest cell here? The reason is that virus is standing on the middle line of living system and the non-living system. It is a living organism only when it is going to infect the host body. Only when it is present inside the host organism. If it is present in the surrounding, then it is simply known as a non-living organism. So we cannot call it as a smallest living cell because it is a kind of exception in this cell biology. So if you are supposed to compare it, we can say definitely size of virus is smaller than that of mycoplasma. But if you compare the living world, then of course mycoplasma is the example. Now further, which is the largest cell? It is the egg of an ostrich. The size is somewhere around 170 mm by 130 millimeters. So it is showing the dimensions of its length and the breadth. So these are the largest cells which could be even seen by the naked eyes. Now, we have to study about the structure and function of these cells. Continuously we are saying that cell is the basic fundamental unit of life. Why so? Because it is giving us the structural integrity and it performs all the metabolic reaction. Now, can you think of this fact, how this structure unit is performing its function? So now we have to understand the basic facts about its own structure. Each cell, it is made up of several compartments. There are small units within these cells in which the functions are taking place. These particular compartments are known as organelles. These organelles, we can say some examples. You must have studied and heard about it, like mitochondria, like we can say chloroplast, like endoplasmic reticulum, nucleus, vacuoles, and so on, etc. So these cells are structural units because they possess these cellular organelles, and these organelles are the site for various biochemical reactions. There are different organelles to perform different functions, and these together forms the individual living cell. Now these cells, when they are uniting together to perform a particular function, then it would be known as tissue. That means organelles are functioning so as to give life to the cell. Now these cells, many cells unite together, a group of similar cells. They will coordinately, they will perform a particular same function. Now such group of cells, it would be known as tissue. Many tissues are going to form the organs, organ will form the organ system, and all these organized form of cells, whether it is tissue, organ or the organ system, they all will further form the living organism. Type of body organization or the level of organization with the help of this diagram now. Now the smallest single unit is atom. The atoms, they will form the chemical unit which we call as the molecules. It is not written here, but that would be known as chemical. Atoms and molecule. This is the chemical organization. Now these chemicals, that means molecules, they will together form the cell. So you can think atoms, examples could be like carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, etc. They will together unite and form the specific structures or different kind of chemicals. What chemical? Can you think of example? As this picture is being shown. The example could be DNA. So these DNA or other kind of molecules like carbohydrate, like proteins, lipids, vitamins, all will function and unite together in an organized form so as to form a cell. Now this is an example of a muscle cell. These muscle cells, they will unite together and they are going to form the tissue. Further, these tissues will form the organ. If we compare the circulatory system here, then these cells, these are the examples of cardiac muscles here. Cardiac muscle cell, which will form the tissue, and these tissue together form the heart. Heart is the example of organ. Now this heart plus these different parts here, like these arteries and the veins and the heart and the capillaries, these all will perform a same type of function. That means it will help in the circulation of blood in the body. So this entire unit, which is comprised of a heart, veins, arteries, capillaries, all are going to form the organ system. Now this is one of the organ system. And in a living human body, can you name some other these organ systems? It could be like digestive system, or we can say the excretory system, or we can say like reproductive system. All are having particular function. Like circulatory system, it was meant for transport of blood. Then respiratory, it is meant for respiration purpose. Digestive system, to obtain the nutrition and digest it in a simple form. Excretory system, so as to remove the urine from the body. That means nitrogenous waste from the body. Now all these systems which are present in this particular body, they are correlated to each other. They are interdependent. That means if respiration is inhibited due to several reasons, then circulation would be affected, because it is going to obtain oxygen from the respiratory system and will supply it to the other body parts. Now if the circulation is not proper, then definitely the other parts of the body can also not function. Excretory system can remove the nitrogenous waste from the blood if the circulation is possible. So in short, these different kind of organ systems, they will coordinate together and they will function properly over there. And this type of coordinated unit is known as organism. So this is how cell is a basic structural unit of life, but it is going to form the different tissues and the organs and the organ system so as to give life to the living organism. We can study it further, like these tissues or whatever we have mentioned here, from tissue, organ and organ system, they are performing different functions. This is what we have understood just now. Now this property of distribution of work among different organelles of the cell or among different tissues, organs or the organ system is known as division of labor. A same cell cannot perform all the functions for the entire body. Hence this distribution is observed in the higher multicellular living systems. If you compare it with the unicellular system, in that case the different compartments are present, like different organelles. For example, we said like mitochondria. This mitochondria, it is the powerhouse of the cell. It will provide energy. In the multicellular, which system is meant for this purpose? Respiratory system. It provides us with the oxygen to supply it to the entire body, and where the energy would be synthesized by energy molecules would be synthesized by using this type of oxygen. Similarly, in a cell endoplasmic reticulum, it is having a function of protein synthesis and lipid synthesis and so on. There are so many different compartments performing the different functions. There are different tissues, organs or the organ system to perform the different functions. And this is what we call as the division of labor. Example is given here, that is in the case of digestive system. There are different organs like mouth. What is the function of mouth? That is ingestion. Then stomach. What is the function of stomach? It is digestion. Then large intestine. What is the function? Absorption. We can be more clear by observing this particular structure of this digestive system. The labeling given here, these are actually the organs. Buccal cavity, esophagus, liver, stomach, large intestine, small intestine and the rectum. Each is having the specific role. Buccal cavity, it is having saliva, so it helps in the lubrication of the food as well as partial digestion. Then esophagus, it provides the path for the transport of this food to the stomach. Stomach and small intestine, meant for digestion. Liver, it is meant for secretion. It gives the bile juice which is drained into the small intestine, and this bile juice will help in the digestion. For the large intestine, if there is extra water present in this undigested food, it will reabsorb the food material. And of course this undigested food is lubricated in this part, and then it is stored for some time in the rectum and is removed out from the pore called anus. So you can see, although it is the same particular digestive system, but it is comprised of different parts, and this is, each part is having a particular function. Thus they follow the property of division of labor. So this is all about this thing. Now, despite of such type of differences, what we have seen in the form of variety of organisms on the basis of what? Number of cells, size and shape. So despite of these type of differences, all these cellular units are having some common parts. What is that? Each cell is made up of cell membrane, nucleus and the cytoplasm. Now in the next session, we are going to study about the details of this particular thing. That means we will study the different parts of the cell, its structure and the function. So thank you so much, and we'll meet you soon in the next session and we'll discuss about the rest of the things. Till then, goodbye.